Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Rice Crypto here with World Alternative Media. And as I said before, I'm going to be doing interviews with companies that are bringing use case to cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. And today I'm joined by Reggie Middleton. He is an entrepreneurial investor who has experience in advising and managing hedge funds, traders, investors, and global banks. He also guides a small team of independent analysts, engineers, and developers that are going to usher in an era of peer-to-peer capital markets. He is the CEO and founder of a company called Veritaseum. Reggie, thanks for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
It's good to hear.
Dealing with the gadgets so far.
Right, a little bit of technology issues here. If you don't mind telling the audience, I wanted to get a little bit of a basic idea of what Veritaseum is trying to do, what the goals you're trying to accomplish with this company.
Okay. Well, Veritasium is a software platform and a consultancy. So we write software on top of public blockchains, and we consult on the use of that software. And the overarching premise of the software is to usher in what we call the peer-to-peer capital market. Basically, the software allows you to do business directly with her without having to go through a middleman, third party, an authoritative agent, an exchange, a bank, a broker, or anybody else. So Peter does business directly with Paul. Paul does business directly with Paulette. You reduce the cost of the third parties, reduce the friction from the third parties, reduce the risk, counterparty risk, credit risk, and everything that goes along with it. Before the advent of the blockchain, this was impossible because two separate, unknown, or disparate parties always needed that third middleman, that third party to connect them and to facilitate the transaction. Now you could do it through the blockchain. You could do business with a total stranger. You don't have to worry about them not paying you, about having bad credit, about malfeasance, and all these other things, because not only does the blockchain enable the transaction, it can control the blockchain transaction with a smart contract, which is basically an agreement that's written in computer code that executes automatically. And that smart contract with the blockchain can hold capital, can hold money. So now the full ecosystem of the transaction is controlled by the blockchain and the smart contract, and it takes the need to trust somebody else out of the equation. So you don't need to trust your counterparty. You don't need to trust your broker. You don't need to trust an exchange. You don't need to trust anybody but math.
I like that. That's good. In math, we can definitely trust math. I definitely believe in math. And I noticed that one of the goals of Veritasium was to, like you said, to eliminate brokers, financial advisors, banks, and middlemen. And the one thing that I noticed with that is that even though that Veritasium is a centralized platform, that you're not trying to take over these roles. You're just providing a software platform that allows people to be able to interact in this way. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, Veritasium is not a centralized platform. Veritasium is a for-profit company, and we, write software. We allow full distribution, not even decentralization, but full distribution of assets and ownership. Before our venture, I'd say, the concept of ownership was pretty much bidimensional. You either own something or you didn't. It was possible to own something but not have possession of it. Okay, but that's pretty much the only way to slice and dice the pie. Now with Veritasium, one person can own an asset, another person can have possession of it, a third person can have control of it, and a fourth person can actually have custody of it. And you can mix and match all four of those aspects, combine them, separate them, slice them, dice them, and recombine them. This is capable on a very granular level. And so when you do business, you can still control and maintain custody and possession of your assets or pass it to others throughout the whole universe. Everybody can do this. So from an asset perspective, okay, it's fully distributed. Everybody maintains control, ownership, and custody and possession of their assets. And then they granularly divvy that out as they see fit. Okay. Now, a lot of the tech specific people may think of Veritasium as centralized because, we don't, we're not a not-for-profit, or we don't have a foundation, et cetera. But, that's not our business model. Our business model is a for-profit entity, but we enable everybody to make control of their assets. Okay. That's distribution or decentralization on steroids.
I got you. That's a good way of putting it. So now, what are some of the services and products that Veritasium is offering currently?
Okay. Well, you have what we call the VADR, and that's an acronym for Veritasium's Autonomous Distributed Interactive Research. Veritasium is the name of the company. Autonomous in that everybody can act as their own self-sovereign entity, your own little bank or exchange. It's interactive because we issue research from our analysts. We're known for calling for Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers and the housing crash and real estate crash, et cetera, et cetera. We've gotten pretty good at that. We've issued this research, but you can interact with the research. So it's not about just downloading a PDF and reading it. You can download a PDF and read it, but then you can tell our system smart contracts to go in and buy the assets that research says is of value, and then create a model portfolio of which you can take your money and put it into the smart contract and replicate that portfolio to the best of its ability. So now, not only reading research, you're actually truly consuming it from an interactive level. So it's like combining a hedge fund with a research firm, and you have still maximum control, maximum practical control of your assets. So a hedge fund, you have a 3, 5, 7-year lockup, fees, et cetera. With the VADR software, there is no lockup. You could go in anywhere from 1 minute to 99 years. You could break the contract because the contract is essentially with yourself. You can even take direct delivery of the assets that were purchased. So with a hedge fund, you put money in a hedge fund, it buys Apple stock, it levers up on Apple stock. You want to get out, it sells the Apple stock, sends you your money back. You have the option of having VADR sell the Apple stock, if it were to be Apple stock, not necessarily could be on crypto, et cetera, and give you the money back. Or you can take the Apple stock and send it directly to your wallet. Okay, that's a monumental sea change in the way things are done in business. So that's one. We have Veritasium Research, which is another product. We have Veritasium Rental, which allows you to rent the components that enable you to participate in the VADR, whether it's capital or the prepaid fee, which is our token, the Veri tokens. We have VE assets, and that is the ability to veritize, which is our name for tokenizing hard assets. And the first one is VE Gold, where we've tokenized 99.99% fine gold. We created a token. That token represents title to ownership of said gold, which is stored in a vault, a coming-to-proof vault, guarded by Brinks, insured by Lloyd's, and it's approved LBMA, and coming-to-proof. The storage, the delivery, everything is all part of the product. So when you give us, say you give us money, give us $100, you buy an ounce of gold, you get a VE Gold token representing 1 ounce, right? You have full ownership of that. We act only as a custodian. You have full ownership of that gold. It could be redeemable at any time. Just send the token back to us, pass the AML KYC, and we ship the gold to you as long as you're not in a sanctioned country. And that gold is fully transferable on a bearer basis. So once you buy it, right, you buy the gold. If you don't take delivery of it, you have the token. You do whatever you want with the token. You can give it to your grandchild. You can sell it to your neighbor. You can trade it on an exchange. You can lose it. You can save it for future generations. You can pledge it, right, as a security, or have someone take a lien upon it. Do whatever you want.
So with
it could go through 15 different money.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Would the price be pegged to gold? So when gold goes up, the value of the token would go up as well then?
Well, there's no pegging of the price. The token represents, let's take it out of the crypto world. Okay, you buy gold, okay, you put it in the vault, and the owner of the vault gives you this paper certificate, right? And this is how you come and get your gold back. This paper certificate is what you bought from us. Okay. This certificate is not pegged to the price of gold. So I can go and sell this paper certificate to someone across the street for 50 cents on the dollar. Okay. that means that the person across the street bought it for $600 versus $1,200. Now, the smart person who sees this price go down to 600, who buys all the paper they can get their hands on, and then they redeem it for gold. You just bought gold at $5,600. So the value of this certificate will always be the price of gold minus expenses. The price of the certificate is a different story. Price does not equal value. In a perfect world, it does, but the world is not perfect.
Right. No, it definitely isn't perfect.
Okay. Now, let me add to that. With that scenario, what we've created, instead of having a paper certificate, we do a digital ERC20 token certificate. We've created the perfect stable token because it doesn't rely upon 4-hour promises. It doesn't rely on mathematical algorithms for stability. It relies on simple market greed, okay? Anytime this token deviates from the price of gold, somebody has an incentive to go in and drive that price up by buying the tokens up until the price hits the price of gold. If it shoots above the price of gold, everybody has an incentive to sell the token for gold. So now it will stay within a very narrow range. That narrow range would be right about the spot price of gold.
Okay.
Stable token 101, vastly superior to Tether and anything else out there, and fully redeemable on demand for the actual physical.
All right. See, and I've heard about the Very Gold thing, but I hadn't had a chance to really dig a lot of into it. So I appreciate you explaining that. I think it's an awesome idea to have like a commodity-based token that the token itself represents the gold. So I think it's a great idea. Now, is there any plans? Because I know that everything is an ERC20 token. Is there any plans to launch your own blockchain?
No. Blockchains are very, very difficult business. It's a lot of work. We do analytics and problem solving. For instance, we solved the problem of stable tokens, and now it's time to move on. So instead of trying to create a blockchain, and there's plenty of blockchains out there, we move on to solving another problem. After solving the stable token problem, we get to solve the problem of moving real world transactions onto the blockchain by using the stable token transacting in gold. A good example is you use a smart contract to represent the sale of a house. That house could be purchased with the gold tokens. It could be done in an area that's a very unstable currency regime, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, DRC, etc. You name it. And now they have it, Turkey. Now you have instant stability in the store value, which is VE gold. You run through smart contracts. And now, not only do you solve the currency stability issue, you also solve the credit risk issue, okay? And smart contracts are forced to execute as the computer code dictates. So these are problems that Veritaseum solves. We run on top of a blockchain, and we definitely don't get in the blockchain business. We are blockchain agnostic, though. So if something comes up that is better from a risk-reward perspective than Ethereum, we simply port over. But that's easier said than done in terms of being better. So we don't have any favorites, but we just do what we feel is best for the company.
Okay. No, I totally respect that. And one of the things I really like about Veritasium is the fact that you guys are trying to disrupt the capital markets industry. And one of the things that I was really curious about was how you're planning on trying to disrupt that market, being that it's such an old club per se. And I know that eliminating the middleman adds a lot of money into the equation for the other players, but that's been such a big part of the old game. How do you plan on making Veritasium replace this and actually disrupt these markets that are currently existing?
Well, the middleman benefits by making money, and whenever you make money, somebody lost money somewhere. It's just, the way the world works is zero-sum game. So we go to those entities that are losing money to the middleman, okay? And the ones that are actually losing money, not the ones that are paying money for value, because Veritasium, peer-to-peer capital markets don't eliminate middlemen in totality. They eliminate rent seekers. So they eliminate the guys who take this $1,200 certificate and they charge you $4,400 for it, right? But they'll only give you $1,200 of value.
Right.
Okay, that's the rent seeker. Veritasium takes him out of the equation. Okay, that is not to be confused with your criminal attorney who tries to get you out of, running a red light and killing somebody's dog. Okay, he has a specific skill and a specific value, and he delivers upon it. Eliminating him means you're in trouble. Okay, so you need him. So those guys, those true deliverers of value, are always going to have a place. It's the rent seekers that we eliminate. If you eliminate rent seeking and you put money in the pocket of a powerful participant will not only appreciate it, but want it to happen again. Okay, so whenever you make a powerful enemy, you have to make sure you make a requisite powerful friend at the same time. Okay, as everybody does that, then you change the paradigm, you change the business model, and it's no longer about making enemies or friends. It's about changing the way business is done. Okay, you compress margins, which means you're taking profit out of someone else's pocket. But when you compress margins, you put the profit in somebody else's pocket. Okay, and that's how Google got started. In the beginning, Google sort of was a search engine. A lot of people didn't take it seriously. Now it's one of the most powerful entities in the world, and it has destroyed multiple industries simply by compressing margins. But they don't just compress margins, they make other people happy. When was the last time you read the classified ads in the newspaper?
It's been a long time.
Okay. Now the newspaper industry didn't take out Google. Google took out the newspaper industry. Are you happy about that?
In some ways, some ways I like the old reading of a newspaper, but it is convenient to have everything electronically. But I do love the creative destruction. I'm a business administration student, and that's what I see Veritaseum as. That's a business term, the creative destruction. And that's kind of what I see you guys as doing.
Right. Every major paradigm shift experiences one. It's the way the world moves forward.
Yeah. And I definitely see this technology as being able to allow us to change the world in a better manner, which I think is extremely important considering the corrupt systems that we have going on today.
We're active in 4 different countries on 3 different continents and expanding. So we have some big things coming up, and we're talking to some pretty big boys who will be implementing the technology. So I think first quarter of next year, barring any unforeseen, unpleasant surprises, will be very strong for us, and will show the world that the new paradigm is not only unavoidable, but will bring the world to a better place in terms of meritorious capitalism. In other words, those who deserve it get it.
Right. Is there anything that you would like to share about some of the future plans that are coming up with Veritasium?
Well, one very simple. The Veda is extremely disruptive, and so not necessarily clear cut from a regulatory perspective in many issues, but we've found in future jurisdictions who will let it run. The VEGO product is also extremely disruptive, but legal in most entities that have that derived from UK English common law or American law. We plan to take digital liquid gold and inject it in multiple economies and make it common use. That is a big thing because now you could bring smart contracts into play for everyday usage, okay? And you don't have to worry about wild swings. The VEGO decouples crypto from wild volatility assets such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. Bitcoin could drop 40%, Ethereum could drop 50%. Only a fool will allow their VEGO to drop 50% or anything. And if it does, then those who are not fools will come in and buy it all up. That stable currency mixed with the ability to use smart contracts in real life, everyday transactions means that there's a new world coming. And anybody who wants to see it work, simply come by Veritaseum.com, read the front page, click the VE Assets link. And I'm going on a road tour, multiple continents again, and I'll bring VE Assets, and I'm giving away grams at a time to show people how it works. Or I'm entering into transactions actually paying for gold. And we work anywhere from 1 gram increments all the way up to kilograms.
Okay. That's awesome. No, that sounds great. I like the idea. So Reggie, I really honestly appreciate you taking the time to do this interview. And I'm going to have links down below so that all the audience and listeners can definitely check out Veritasium and see what this platform is all about and how Veritasium is planning to disrupt the capital markets game. So I do encourage all the World Alternative Media listeners to check out my personal YouTube page. It's 2 words, Rice Crypto. So check that out, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and check out my past content. As always, make sure you subscribe to World Alternative Media, hit that like button, comment, and share with your friends. And I encourage you, be the change by practicing change.
Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so overwhelmingly demonetized by YouTube as they bring in the ADL to flag all of our content as hate speech. Also check our Bitcoin address in the description as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also check us out at Steemit at Josh Sigurdson, the future of social media, where you get paid in the upvote of your post in cryptocurrency, Steem that is. So don't forget to check us out there and find us at Anarchapulco 2019. I know it's early, but this is such an exciting event coming up with Ron Paul, Judge Napolitano, David Icke, Larkin Rose, Jeff Berwick, you know, all the usual characters, and it's going to be amazing. So we hope to see you there. Make sure to check the link for Anarchapulco below and use promo code WHAM to save as much as 15% on your tickets. We hope to see you there. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
Thank you.